Alright, so welcome back to the channel, and in this one we have an example where we're going to create some references here in Solidworks. And what I mean by that is we have to create some reference planes, and you can see on this example we're going to have two different planes at two different angles. Now the one that's at 45, that's going to be pretty much straightforward, but the one sitting here at 30, we have to kind of figure out what we're doing, or you have to make sure you pick the right references, okay? So let's go ahead and jump over to SolidWorks and get started. Okay, so we're going to start this one off really easy. We're just going to go ahead and click the new icon located here. And then we're going to go with a part. And of course, like most of my examples, I assume that the units can be millimeters, but this will work for any units. It can be millimeters or inches. Okay. Now we're going to do the extruded base here, and then we're going to go ahead and click the front plane. So we can decide here if we want to use a thin feature, or we can use a regular sketch of it. And what I mean by that is I can actually sketch out the whole L. So you can see that I do have examples where I just do the thin feature, which means that all I need to create the three-dimensional part is just these two lines, right? So if I go ahead and I put a dimension on both of these, this will be enough actually to create this shape here in SolidWorks. So this distance here is going to be 151. And then we'll go ahead and specify this second distance here, which is going to be 52. And the other things that I like to do is I'll go ahead and select the center point here, hold down the shift button, go find the midpoint on this line. Once I find it, I'll go ahead and select the vertical here. Let's go ahead and hit the escape one time. And then I'll go and find this center. And it's always easier to pick the origin first. And that's just might be in my opinion. And then I can hold down the shift button and find the midpoint on that line. Then I'll make them horizontal. Okay. You can see everything turn black, which means it's fully defined, or we can go ahead and sketch out the other lines. But I do like using the thin feature as much as I can. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit out of this sketch. And once I do this, it should jump back into the extrude command, because remember, that's what we started with, right? All right. Next, we're going to give it a direction. We're going to tell it that we're going to go mid-plane. And then we have to figure out how wide this thing is, which is going to be 76. So I'll go ahead and tell that distance here. It's going to be 76. Oh, nope, I put in the wrong number here. That's actually for the thin feature. That's going to be 20. My 76 is going to go up here to the top. Okay. Now, one thing I always recommend is that you take a look at this, and I'm just going to select the normal, just to make sure that you have it going the correct way. The lines that we created were the outside lines here. So we can flip back and forth between the two, but that looks correct to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the OK button here, and you can see we have that shape created. All right. Next, let's go ahead and work on this front plane here. So I'm just going to select it, and then I'm going to put a sketch on it. I'm going to go ahead and use this center rectangle. I'm going to click here, just underneath my origin. I'm trying not to click on that origin first, because sometimes it is right here in the middle, and sometimes it's not. And in this case, I could have got away with actually putting this point at that location. But let's go ahead and make them collinear. So I'm going to select that line there, hold down the shift button, select that line, let go to shift, and go ahead and select the collinear. Likewise here at the bottom. I'm going to select that line there, hold down the shift button, and select this one. And I accidentally selected that face there. Let's select that line again, and then that line. Then go ahead and make it collinear. Okay. So I have those two there. Now I need to specify the width of this. But before I do that, I'm just going to escape out of this, and I'm going to grab this line here and drag it. All right. So what I want to do here is get this center onto that center, right? So what we're going to do is just select the origin, hold down the shift button, and select here. Once I let go, I should have a few options here. I'll just use the coincidence. That should jump it there in the middle. And then we'll finally put our last dimension on here. So we'll put a dimension from here to here. Go ahead and place it. And then we have to specify the width, and it's going to be 20. All right. Everything turned black. It's fully defined. Let's go ahead and exit out of the sketch. Now this one I did starting off with the sketch. So remember, it's not going to automatically jump over there to the extrusion. So now it's waiting on me to select the extrusion. So I'll select the icon here. It should automatically be able to pick up that profile. And then I'll give it a distance, which is going to be 6 here. All right. So far, so good. Everything should be pretty much straightforward. Let's take a look at dealing with, I'm trying to decide which one of these references I want to do first. Let's go ahead and do the one that's at 45 degrees first. That should be easy. So let's go to Reference Geometry, choose Plane. I'm going to select this faces first, and then I'll go ahead and select that edge, right? And I'll come here to the angle, and then I'll go ahead and say, hey, it's at 45. I'm going to leave it at that point, and then I'll just go ahead and hit the Apply button. Okay, let's go ahead and start creating this sketch onto here so we can escape out of here. I know it's going to be an extrusion, so I can go ahead and start off with the extrusion command, and then I'll go ahead and select this plane. Okay, now let's go ahead and create, let's see, this is the shape that has the rectangle, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the center rectangle again. I'll click here. Let's see, looks like it didn't activate the center rectangle. There we go. And I have my center rectangle here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do my center arc here. So center point arc. Remember, select the midpoint first. Select this endpoint. And then I'll go across to this endpoint. For some strange reason, I don't know why it's taking a while on my commands. There we go. So I'll find the midpoint here, to that endpoint, and then to this endpoint. Okay, let's go ahead and select this top line here, and we'll go ahead and make that construction. I do like to add my tangencies on the edge of this. And that just kind of helps SolidWorks out a little bit with just kind of making sure that this thing stays together, just in the event that I have to move it. So I'll go ahead and put a tangency on this one. Okay, let's go ahead and put some dimensions on here so we know that this radius here at the top is going to be set to 22. So I'll go ahead and specify this radius. It's going to be 22. Okay, and then we also have a height here, which is sitting at 30. So let's go ahead and make that height. And we're going to make it 30. All right, a couple of more things I need to do is I need to make this line here collinear to this line, right? So we're going to select those two, bring them down that way. And then the last step that I need is I'm going to select that midpoint, hold down the shift button and select that center point. Then just go ahead and make them vertical to each other. Everything should be satisfied at this point. Let's go ahead and hit the exit sketch button. It should automatically jump over to the extrusion, which it did. It found the profile for us. Now we don't want to give this one a distance. We want to make this one go to the body. So I'll select here in the direction. In the drop down, I'm just going to say up to body. And then I'm going to select this body here. And you should see that it should complete the rest of my 3D model there. I'll go ahead and hit the check mark here. And you can see that part is done, right? Let's go ahead and hide that plane. So I'm going to select it and then I'll go ahead and hide it. All right, so now we have that front part on. Let's go ahead and do this back one. So we're going to go ahead and start off with some reference geometry again, right? So we're going to use a reference geometry of plane. And remember that this one goes 30 degrees from this face. So I can select this face if I want to, and then I can select here as my angle, right? Now I'm going to go and specify this at an angle. And you got to keep in mind that this plane now is only at this little small part. So this is one of those reasons why I like to use the bigger plane. But remember that if I do it this way, I can actually use 30 degrees, right? And it'll create it correctly. Now if I go ahead and I cancel this, and I'm going to create this again using the other option. So if I go back to the plane and I select this face here, and then I select this edge as my reference, it gives me a much bigger plane to work with Let's go ahead and specify here. But this is where the magic kind of doesn't happen. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and specify the angle. And if I go with 30, then let's go ahead and see if we can flip this a little bit by hitting the button here. You're going to see that if we take a look at the normal, I want to look at the normal of this one here. Okay, I accidentally hit the escape button. Okay. What I was trying to show you is it on the side profile. I'll go ahead and put it back on here one more time. Let's go back to the plane. I'm going to select here, and then I'll select, looks like it missed the first reference, and here. There we go. And then we're going to put in an angle of 30 degrees. And I'm hoping that you can see what I'm trying to show you here. You can see where it's not 30 degrees. It's going 30 degrees between here. So this is where the magic is going to happen. You're going to have to change that to 60 degrees in order to get the true 30 degrees from this plane. But either one of those methods will work. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and put a sketch on this plane now. So I know it's going to be an extrusion again. I know I have to select it on this plane. And now it kind of rotates around. Let's kind of get this thing back to a good orientation. And this looks good enough to me, right? I can work with that. Okay, I'm going to start off with a line here, going straight across. And then I'm going to draw a line going straight up from the midpoint here. So I'll go back to the line here. I'll go find that midpoint, and I'm just going to go straight up in the air off of it, right? Let's go ahead and put a couple of dimensions on here. So I'm going to dimension this bottom part and tell you that it is 50 wide. Okay. And then we do have this height here. So I'm going to select this line here, go right across that direction, and this is going to have a height of 20. And now I'm ready to go ahead and start putting some other things on here. So let's go ahead and use a circle. Just going to click it here. Make that circle whatever big I want it. Let's draw a line now from this endpoint, and it should give me a tangency here. Let's escape out of here and do the exact same thing here on the other side. So I'm going to draw a line going from there, and I should find a tangency somewhere along here, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to make sure that this is tangent. I'll select here, hold down the shift button and select my circle. And tangent should be one of the ones that'll pop up. Okay, escape out of that one. Let's do this side. So the exact same process. I do like adding these relations and having them here on the screen here. All right, so I'm going to select this line here. We're going to go ahead and make that a construction line. And then we're going to go ahead and trim off this access part here at the bottom. Okay, now you can see that it did find that whole shape for us. Let's go ahead and do a couple of more things here. So I'm just going to select that center point. I'm going to hold down the shift button, and hopefully it will give me that midpoint. And if it doesn't, we do have another option that we can use. Looks like it's not going to find it for me, which is totally okay. And if it don't, I'm going to select this line here, and let's go ahead and select here. And then we'll go ahead and make those collinear to each other. And then we'll find this center. Kind of rotate my part back around. And let's see if I can get this center. And let's see, can I find it on the midpoint here? I'm just trying to find a nice, easy way to place this along here. And it looks like it won't let me grab the center of my origin. Okay, so that means I'll have to do it the old school way, I guess. I know that the overall distance of here is 76, so I can go ahead and just place a dimension from that line to here. And then this is going to have a dimension of 76 divided by 2. Okay. And I'm trying to look and see, am I missing something? Ah, I know what it is now. We have to also put a radius here. All right, and then that radius is going to be 15. think everything is satisfied here, but I do not like actually having this dimension here. I do like to have a plane here, and I accidentally hit the help button there, so let me go ahead and close that. All right, so my shape is actually done. Let's go ahead and exit out of the sketch. It rotates around. I'm going to rotate this thing back here in a second. And remember that it's going to take the last thing that I did. Remember that I use up to body, so I'm just going to select that body. It should find it. It's extruded to it. Let's go ahead and hit the check mark here. And then we're going to also hide this plane. Okay, the rest of this should be pretty much straightforward, right? We're going to throw a couple of fillets on the end of this, and we do have some chamfer on the other end. So let's do the chamfer part first. So I'll go to chamfer. And these are going to be 10 by 10s. So I'm going to use this option here. It's already set to 10. Select that line there. Rotate around to the other side. Select this line. And go ahead and apply this. Let's rotate around to here at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and put those fillets on here. And they have a radius of 12. So I'll go to fillet. Sorry, radius of 14. This is going to be 14. We're going to select that edge at the bottom here, and we should have another edge on the other side. Let's go ahead and hit the check mark on that as well. And now the last thing that we have to do is just simply add holes to this, right? So here at this one, we're going to go ahead and throw these in there. We'll use the hole wizard. First thing I tend to like to do is go ahead and specify my position. So I'll go to position, select this face. Then I'm just going to come and select, I'm not going to click on it, just hover over it, and then you'll find the center. Go ahead and click on the center on that one. Hover. Then go and select it. Okay. After I got everything done on here, I'll go ahead and go to type. Tell it what type of hole it is. So it's going all the way through, and it has a diameter of 12. So I have that set to 12, and it's going through. I'll go ahead and hit the check mark. So that hole is actually completed. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. So we're going to go back to the hole wizard. We're going to go underneath the position tab. So I'll select here. I'm going to select this face. Remember that I'm just going to come to it. I'm going to hover for a second there. I'll find the center here. Once that is done, you can hit the escape button, and then I'll go to type. This one has a diameter of, looks like 22. And it has a depth to it, so I'm just going to change this to blind. And then it has a depth of 32. Go ahead and hit the check mark on that one. And that circle is actually completed now. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the other circle here in the back. We're going to go back to the hole wizard. I always start off my position here, so I'll go to position, select that face. Let's go ahead and find the center that we need. So I'm just going to hover for a second, and it should give it to me. There it is. Let's go ahead and jump back to type. And let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to go ahead and tell it that it is a 20 by 32. So it's going to go 20. And this is still going to drill down at 32. Let's go ahead and accept that. Okay, and I think that's about everything that I needed to create on this one, right? So we have both of our planes, and we do have this shape overall done, right? So hopefully you enjoyed watching this one. I think the tricky part is just to make sure you get your planes going in the right angles. And that's one thing I wanted to kind of convey, especially in this example, right? So hopefully you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching this. And as always, just keep drafting. Till the next time.